Welcome back to a Victory Monday episode of the Purple Rain podcast. Yes, happy Monday, happy Victory Monday to anybody that celebrates it. And welcome back to episode 269 of the Purple Rain podcast. Aaron Crawford, Jeff Blackshear, Willie Henry, Khalil McKenzie, Tyler Ott, Brian Rimpf, Chad Slaughter, and a Brio Franklin episode of the Purple Rain podcast. It is a great day to be a Ravens fan. I'll tell you that right now. Want to thank everybody coming through on your Monday. You can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain podcast. You can follow this guy over here on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. You can follow me on Instagram at simplyas10.prod or on X at simplyas10. And most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. It's actually watching UFC this past weekend, right outside where they walk in the ring. Manscaped, right on there. Beautiful. When you go on there, use code PRP, 20% off your whole order, free international shipping. Got no items on there. Cannot rave about them enough. Once we're done with this episode, boy, this hair and the scalp scrubber, oh boy, it is just calling my name. But we're here to talk some Ravens football. So I need to ask you something. How was your weekend?
My weekend was amazing, to say the least. Capped off by a beautiful, I can't really say beautiful in all facets, but a good Ravens W that was kind of unexpected at certain points in that game. Definitely a roller coaster of emotions watching that one yesterday, but to come out with a victory, man, it just feels and looks so much better than a loss. In a lot of ways, yesterday could have been a loss, but it wasn't, and that's huge. That is absolutely huge. And it's going to bode well for our confidence moving forward. But I'm doing well. I'm feeling confident in this team moving forward. And I want to see what the Rain Gang or who from the Rain Gang is in here so far. Let me see what we got here. We got to pull up who's in the live chat. If you're in the live chat here, make sure you drop something down there in the comments. Let us know you're here. K-Dog giving a shout out to the hashtag replay gang. What's going on, K-Dog? Mod K-Dog, that is to you, by the way. Also giving a shout out to the Manscaped PRP, 20% off, free international shipping, man. And like my guy Alex said, the scalp buffer, oh my goodness. I just used it today after the gym. That thing is the truth. It's the truth. And not only just for the hair on top, but for my brothers with the beards too, it's good for that as well. So make sure you use our code on manscaped.com. That's PRP. You're going to get 20% off plus the free international shipping. Shout out to you, K-Dog, per usual. I see we got my guy RJ in the house. Says good win, not great because of the defense, but we all know who was the reason and why Lamar Jackson is and will be MVP again. Oh yeah, I mean, you see it in the title, man. He's kind of flirting with that third MVP. And honestly, let me just get this out of the way really quick. Voter fatigue my ass, right? Because if a guy is playing at a level like Lamar Jackson has been playing recently, I don't care if he won it the previous year. I don't care if he's won it twice in his career so far. You have to give it to the guy who's clearly the most valuable to his team. Yesterday, you just witnessed Joe Burrow throw for 5 touchdown passes and lose. Why? Because we had the better playmaker at the end of the day. That's what it really boils down to. When a play needed to be made, he made it. Yes, he made his mistakes. Joe Burrow made his mistakes too. But in terms of when you need one, that's the guy. And I think that's kind of what constitutes a most valuable player, in my opinion. Don't want to stick too much on that. We've got plenty to talk about on this episode. Let's go ahead and see who else is in here. Killer Cam in the house says, what's up, guys? What's going on, Cam? Quoney in the house says, what's up, Rain Gang? What's going on, Quoney?
Nope.
We got Dre in the house says, what's up, Purple Rain Gang? Nothing better than beating on the ops. That's what I'm talking about, right? AFC North victory. We love to see it. Braden Holmes is in the house says, what up? What up, Braden? Appreciate you for coming through. We got Oscar Lilienthal, Purple Rain pioneer himself. He's been around for a minute. Says, let's go. That's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Another shout out to RJ. Says, love the content, guys. Always love watching and hearing you guys. Thank you, RJ. We love seeing you in the chat. We really do. We really do. We appreciate the support. Let me see who else we got in here. Oh, we got a super chat donation. We're starting off strong. Darius dropping the 2-piece in the chat. We got to prioritize those super chat donations. Thank you so much, Darius, making it rain here on episode 269 of the Purple Rain podcast. Says amazing win, literally lost my voices. Man, I was screaming. I was yelling at my TV. I was pacing around the room, and it was funny because I was watching the game with my girlfriend, right? And like she was like asleep. And I'm just going off in the room, right? And like she's just sleeping through the whole thing. It's kind of crazy, to be honest with you. She must be a heavy sleeper. But it was a crazy game. We got Jabari Cruz Ellis in here as well. Says, "What's up, Purple Rain Gang?" And again, thank you, Darius, for your super chat donation. SG in the house. What's going on, SG? The A Pro one,
Oh,
2, 3. Don't want to miss anybody here. If I missed you, keep commenting in the chat. We're gonna bring you out. Rolling with Davo podcast is back in the chat. What's going on, brother? Appreciate you for coming
welcome
through.
back. Welcome back.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Ah,
Okay,
man.
so Alex, Ravens win with a walk-off field goal in overtime, 41-38. They cover the -2.5 spread, right? I was happy about that, me personally, right?
Okay.
But this game was just so up and down, and I made a short about it yesterday, right? It's like immediately following the game, and it was the epitome of when your brother is down, you pick him up, and vice versa. It just kind of seemed like one moment the offense was clicking, and then the next moment the defense was clicking, and then vice versa. And it just kept going back and forth. And for a while there in that second half, of course, the defense was the one that was kind of getting obliterated, for lack of better words. Again, Burrow 5 touchdowns, one of the best performances of his career against that Ravens pass defense yesterday. Lots to get into, but we're going to start with our name of the game segment that we've been doing all season. I think it's been going pretty well thus far. And today's name of the game, we're gonna go ahead and start with Alex on this one. He sent me his earlier today, and I was kind of interested to see what he had to say about this one. So Alex, go ahead and take us away with what was your name of the game for this Ravens versus Bengals matchup yesterday?
Flip the script. Flip the freaking script. All right, and let me just talk about this. Every time the Ravens are up, a certain picture is just always brought up on my feed. Picture of the blown leads we have going back years upon years upon years. We weren't the ones blowing a 10-point lead with 5 minutes left yesterday. It was the Bengals. We flipped the script. We weren't the team blowing the lead. We were the team fighting back. We were the team clawing. We weren't the team asking our coach questions of why he wasn't aggressive in overtime. Why did he run the ball 3 times up the middle and make his kicker kick a 50-plus yard field goal? We weren't that team. Yes, we had our mistakes, but in that fourth quarter, we were the team that was more aggressive, that I thought was making the better play calls. I thought our coaching was better in that fourth quarter. And yeah, so I think we flipped the script to what we've been complaining about, what we've been talking about over the whole year. We kind of got a taste of our own medicine, but in a good way. So it was very nice for us to kind of see how it feels. And you just look at the Bengals fan in that stadium, how dejected they were. That's how us Ravens fans feel when you do that in Baltimore. That's how dejected we feel. That's how pissed off we feel. And to me, if we would have lost that game, our season wouldn't be over. If the Bengals losing that game, their season right now, they're 1-4. They're 0-3 at home. They lost another key contributor to that defense. They lost another O lineman. They look, just decimated. You got Jamar getting pissed off at the media. Joe Burrow's obviously pissed off. Like, we may have put the first nail in their coffin for the season. It's a long season, but it's hard to get back from 1-4, and now you only have a minimal amount of home games left. We flipped the script. So thank you, Ravens. But I want to hear what yours is, because I don't know what yours is yet.
Yeah. And just kind of like sticking to yours really quick, like I love that because it did kind of change the narrative in a way. You know what I mean? Like we weren't the ones giving up the lead. We were the ones coming back. And I think I want to say it was Oscar. Yeah, Oscar brings it up here. It says, or people saying that we cannot come from behind. Yeah, and I tweeted this earlier today. Like, do you remember once upon a time, 4 score and however many seasons ago, right? People were saying the narrative was that the Lamar Jackson led Ravens could not come back. They could not come from behind, right? They were
Yep.
front runners, for lack of better words. So for us to just consistently, and when I say us, I really mean Lamar Jackson, right? Because and this is kind of like a perfect segue into my name of the game here. But that game yesterday was indicative of it. Kind of reminded me, in theory, right? Kind of like just a wild analogy here. Would you ever see like one of those like zombie movies, Alex? And like,
Mhm.
the thing about zombies is like You kill them, but like they just keep coming back, right? You think you killed them, but they just keep
Yep.
coming back more and more and more and more. So that's my name of the game is zombie mode, man. I mean, the Ravens were on absolute zombie mode. You talk about coming back from down 10 three different times in that game. It is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, controlled the better half of the first half, right? The first two quarters, but that second half, I mean, and of course the end of the end of the first half as well with the deep touchdown to Chase. But that second half, Joe Burrow was getting whatever he wanted on us, right? Whether it was T. Higgins, whether it was Jamar Chase, whether it was Andre Yoshivas, anybody, anybody was getting off. I mean, Joe Burrow had again a phenomenal day, and we'll mention that numerous times throughout this episode. So I mean, you got to tip your cap to him because he played really well, and if his team had a better record, he would be in the candidacy for MVP right now as well. But again, man, when you look at Lamar Jackson and you see what he kind of says in press conferences, like, I just want to punish teams. We want to score. We want to score. We want to score. We want to keep the foot on the pedal. For him to go out in every single drive in the second half, with points, right? 3 touchdowns and 1 field goal. Absolutely incredible. Walking up and down the field, and doing it with his arm too. Only had 55 yards rushing. So I mean, his under cashed on the rushing yards. I think his line was at 55 and a half. He went under by half a yard. And I said it on the last, yeah, I said it on the last episode of the show. I think that mid 50s mark is the sweet spot for Lamar Jackson rushing yards. You know what I mean? We don't need a whole lot more than that, but we definitely do need that in certain spots, right? And we got it from him. Love what I saw from Lamar Jackson, man. I just cannot tip my cap enough to our quarterback here. We are so lucky to have Lamar Jackson suiting up at quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens, man. So that's going to be my name of the game, man. Absolute zombie mode from the Ravens, even when the defense could not stop a cold, right? This offense just continuously just would not be denied by this Bengals defense. And that meant everything. That's how we literally stayed in the game. But yeah, what do you think about that?
I love it. And I'm glad you brought up, how we scored points in every drive in the fourth quarter. I mean, every drive, in the second half, touchdowns and the field goal. I'll tell you what, they're lucky we won because I know if there was a huge face mask call missed in that final drive, about as blatant as it can get. And I was like, you know what? If we lose because of this, if Tucker missed the field goal, which by the way, I low-key doubted number 9. I was not confident of him making that kick. And of course, they brought it up. He's over 2 from 50 plus. He hasn't been the best in recent memory, but he used that win to his advantage. Looked like he was going to miss. Curled right back in. Oh, it was beautiful.
The confidence, bro. The stones you got to have to purposely kick it off to the left, knowing that the wind is going to curve it back, believing that the wind is going to stay true for the next couple of seconds while your kick floats through the air. That just veteran goat shit. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just had to talk about that. Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to give a little bit of credit to Jordan Stout for the hold. Because we saw the Bengals, their punter holding it. I hate to say it, the reason why they lost. The reason why they freaking lost because he couldn't get the snap right. And, McPherson, to me, I thought it was over. He's going to make this. He's a great kicker. But obviously went wide because of the snap. And then him just hearing everything from the media, he wasn't happy. Seeing his press conference, he's not happy because of the fumble. They say he's probably the only one in there who just wasn't happy about that game. And he put on Twitter, somebody was like, you're not going to be happy to win a Super Bowl. And he put, nah, with the 100 emoji. And I sometimes don't want to believe what players say online, but I believe him wholeheartedly. He is not happy until he wins his Super Bowl. So very good to see. You bring us some all-22 footage here. We get to watch the game while we're talking. Should be good copyright-wise, so which will be a nice little added boost. But yeah, man, it was very nice to see that. I want to give a shout out to Tylan Wallace, who I thought overcame a lot of adversity with obviously the fair catch. The ball goes down to 2. They get that safety, but he had 2 clutch first down conversions. I think one in the fourth quarter, one in overtime. I think they're both in the fourth quarter. I'm sorry. One was on 3rd and 10. The other one was on 1st and 10. He looked very good. It's kind of something we've been talking about. We would like to see him get more offensive snaps, and he takes his advantage when he's given the ball and it's thrown his way. But man, great game. I would say a great win, but defense, we will talk about the struggles, but offensively, it's kind of what we wanted to see. And we can go shootout for shootout if you want to, and you can. I mean, obviously, I think the Bengals have better receivers than us, but I want to give a shout out to Lamar and all the receivers and pass catchers for spreading the love around. Likely got his, Kolar got his, Andrews got his, Flowers got his, Bateman got his, Aguilar had a catch, Colin Wallace had 2 catches. Like, we spread the ball around. Is to me, it's really no surprise that we won when you are given that much love, and King Henry getting his carries as well. Yes, G
Oh
says,
yeah.
bro, the ball was distributed all around, look good. Very good. It was a breath of fresh air, because we're used to seeing our number one receiver and our number one tight end get force fed, but the love was shared yesterday, and it was a great thing to see.
Absolutely. Another big name that had a big game yesterday. Charlie Collar, probably the biggest game of his
Mm-hmm.
career, man. I mean, he gets the touchdown. He gets that big, what was it, like a 50-yard gain? He going up the
Yeah.
seam, gets the perfect one from Lamar, which was kind of reminiscent of that Lamar to Mark Andrews pass against the Chargers very, very early in Lamar Jackson's career. I don't know if anybody else kind of saw that one the same way as I did there, but it kind of reminded me of that. And it was cool to see. I don't know if you saw some of the mic'd up footage from the game where
Yeah.
I guess Charlie Collar was mic'd up, and he's got some personality on him. I kind of like the kid. You know what I mean? Like he's got a good sense of humor. I like Charlie Collar, and the guy's 6'7", right? So like naturally, Lamar Jackson is gonna like look his way and throw his way. So
Yeah.
don't be surprised if we see a little bit more of Charlie Collar going forward in the future. But again, just kind of sticking with the topic of tight ends. Isaiah Likely, 2 touchdowns, kind of quiet as kept, right? The first one was kind of like an easy one over the top. They draw on the defense and just toss over the top to Isaiah Likely, and he just catches it for the easy touchdown, 2-yard touchdown or whatever it was. But then, that play, that other play, right? 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Lamar Jackson drops the snap, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's on his knees trying to pick up the snap, rolls out to his right. Sean Hubbard is or Sam Hubbard is just walking him down, right? Walking him down. And Lamar Jackson hits him with not one but 2 stiff arms. The second one
Yeah.
puts him into the turf. And right before he goes out of bounds, before he gets obliterated out of bounds, pretty much, because we saw the all 22 footage of that play. I mean, he got
Yeah.
lifted off of his feet out of bounds on the Bengals sideline. But before all of that, gets a pass off pretty much across his body to an open Isaiah Likely in the end zone for the touchdown. Kevin Harlan on the call. That was a top 10 play. I think it's safe to say a top 10 play of Lamar Jackson's career. Do you agree?
For me, maybe it's recency bias, but that's got to be for me top 3, maybe top 2. That's
Oof.
genuinely laughable what he did. Yeah, like he stiff armed the guy twice with his weak arm, with his left hand.
Yeah.
Fumbled the ball, jump pass out of bounds. Jermaine Pratt, who I got some words for some of these Bengals players, who hits him while he's throwing the ball. Isaiah Likely, who him and Lamar in the same mindset, throws him open and over a former Raven and Geno Stone. It was poetry in motion. Like, I think to me, his top 2 plays ever have come in that field right there, right in that singular field.
Yeah.
I'll listen. I'm not gonna lie. The play last year in the AFC Championship, the touchdown to Zay, that one's up there too. Like I said, recency bias. Maybe one day we do a show where we rank his top plays, but that was
Yeah. That'd be
unreal,
nice.
unbelievable. That might, like I said, his top 2 plays may have come at Paycor Stadium. I just put it there, but that was unfreaking real. Yeah, man. I genuinely like. What do you say to that? How do you stop that? What do
Yeah.
you do to stop that?
You can't do anything. And it was funny because Sam Hubbard, after Lamar Jackson, after he realized Lamar had threw a touchdown on that play, he just kind of falls to his knees and just looks at Lamar Jackson like, bro, how? Like he literally bends the knee and just kind of looks at Lamar like, how are you doing this? How is that possible? Because any other quarterback, you would have dead to rights in that situation. I don't care if it's a Josh Allen. I don't care if it's a Patrick Mahomes. Josh Allen's maybe the only other quarterback who could probably pull something like that off, and it would be damn
Yeah.
hard. I haven't really seen him do anything like that, per se. He had a big throw last week against us, actually, kind of going out of bounds and throws it up to Khalil Shakir, I want to say it was. But
Yeah.
not like that though. Stiff arming a guy into the ground and then getting lifted out of bounds. If anything, he'd probably throw an interception on a play
Yeah.
like that, to be honest. But that was just bonkers, man. I mean, and again, definitely a top 10 play. And what did you say? It was a top 3 or top 5 play of his career?
As for me, like the recency, it's gonna be top 3.
Top 3.
But
Okay.
it has to
Yeah.
be that the spin move in 2017, and then he's had so many good ones. But off the top of my head, that play against the Chiefs, I think I'm measuring in what it meant. Obviously, his AFC Championship game, and he escaped the sack,
Yeah.
runs backwards and finds Flowers open. But like I said, let me sit down and see all of his plays. But it's just to me like everything that went there, and you factor in what that meant to the game. It brought us more life. It just now was that the touchdown before, like right before Jamar took the 70-yard screen? Was that the one?
Um, no, that was
It was not.
after.
No, that was the
Yeah.
one. Okay, that made it 35. Okay, yeah, that gave us a lot of life because next
Yeah.
drive they throw a pick, so that gives us a
Yep.
lot of freaking life.
Yeah. Um, and kind of yeah. So I kind of want to stay talking about that play because that play right there, man, that really, like I said, not only gave us life, but just like you really you come to the realization that okay, Lamar Jackson's not going to allow us to not go down swinging at the very least. Like there was just
Yeah.
an absolute refusal from Lamar Jackson to lose that game and to see that energy. And I think I've said this before on the show, Alex. Lamar Jackson plays the quarterback position like there's a fan inside of him, right? That like
Mhm.
the fan inside of him just like, okay, I've got to make something happen, right? Like this is Madden, right? I got to make something happen right here, right now. I'm just gonna try something. I'm not gonna throw it out of bounds just because that's the safe thing to do. I'm gonna take a risk, right? I want to see something happen. I want to see a play made. I'm gonna make a play, And there's a lot of other quarterbacks in this league who would be so conservative in a situation like that. I think it was like 2nd and 8 or something like that. 90% of quarterbacks throw that ball away. They
Yep.
just get rid of it, and live to fight another down. But not this guy. Like I said, it feels like he has a fan inside of him. And that is just kind of like the driving force in his playmaking ability because he just always wants to make something happen, even if he has to force it, and very rarely does it even look like he's forcing it. A lot of times it just looks easy. And I guess that just speaks
Yep.
to his talent. I mean, he's just a hell of a player, man, and a top 3, probably top 2 quarterback in this league. I don't think it's really even up for debate at this point. And just
Yeah.
kind of talking about the actually, what, you go ahead.
Yeah, he's the benchmark at this point now. It's everybody knows it's Mahomes and everybody else, and you're always comparing him to everybody else. But I do want to give a lot of love right now to our pass catchers because we're critical on them. I'll put this on record right now. I still want Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, or DeAndre Hopkins to make us even that much better. I saw what we did yesterday with Zay and Peyton as our 1 and 2. Imagine you add another guy to that. And I'm like, that's just me looking at what I've seen teams win with the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Chiefs they have Mahomes, but teams have gotten there. The Buccaneers didn't stop when they signed AB in 2020. I would love for us to get somebody else because I think that would make us even more unstoppable. And I think Sutton and D Hop would be good complementary pieces. But we're gonna talk about this now. Zay Flowers, that was number 1 wide receiver performance, 7 catches, 120 yards, I think. Rashad Bateman, 4 for 58. Route running amazing, hands amazing.
Touchdown.
I mean, touchdown, like left him wide open. You can hate him how you want. I thought he's really stepped up this year. That's now 2 touchdowns this year. He had what? One last year, the one the year before, and the one the other year. So he's already beat his career high in touchdowns for a season that we're 5 games in. Um, they're just gelling. Munkin, only thing I didn't like was he ran their halfback dive on the first play in overtime. Outside of that, I thought he played a really good game. I mean, called a really good game. But I mean, yeah, there's really not much more I can say. Tight ends balled out. Yeah, it was a damn good game for the offense. 41 points.
Yeah.
We can go freaking blow for blow. We can come back. There's a lot. Lamar was thrown outside the numbers. Every single narrative people tried to push at him, he shut them the hell up yesterday. Did it without running.
Oh,
Did it with his
yeah.
arm. Outside the numbers. came back from 2
Came
possessions
back.
down. Just
Yep.
everything I've just been hearing multiple times, like you said. And the best thing I think for me is Jamar Chase scoring that 70-yard screen. It saved us because they scored way too quick, way too freaking quick.
Yes, yes.
Left us a lot of
That's
time.
what I was thinking in that moment. I was thinking like, okay, this is bad. Yes, and Marcus Williams, I don't know how he got stuck in the mud on that one and just
Yeah,
completely whiffed on Jamar Chase, but I was like, this is bad, right? They scored again, but they scored really, really quick. It's almost like that drive never really even happened. They just got points, right? Poofed out of nowhere. And if you're gonna give us that time for Lamar Jackson to drive his way down the field and get another touchdown, then sure, we'll take it, right? And that's exactly what ended up happening. Man, man, like you said, just overall a really good game. And the fact that this was a divisional game, so we knew kind of going into this one that the Bengals are very, very familiar with the Ravens scheme, what they want to do on offense, defense, special teams. I mean, it's no secret, right? And vice
yeah,
versa. But in this game, what we saw early was that, they weren't going to let Derrick Henry in this run game get off to a hot start and just run them out of their own building. They just weren't going to let that happen. And if you see Derrick Henry's stats at the end of the game, they're a little bit inflated. I think he ended with like 92 rushing yards or something like that. But of course, he had like the big 40 something yard run at the very end of the game. Before that, he was only averaging about 3 yards a carry. It wasn't really looking too good. So, the Bengals did a good job at kind of shutting that down early. But again, it just speaks to like the Bengals played, when you think about it, the Bengals played a perfect game in a lot of ways, right? Like
yep,
they played the Ravens the way that you're supposed to play them. Do not let them get off on you with the run and make Lamar beat you with his arm, and get after him with the cover zero and the blitzes and things like that, and they did all of that. They did all of that. And Lamar Jackson, like you said, again, shut down all of those narratives. Like, okay, you're going to try to box me in and make me throw. Cool. I'm going to throw for 340 something yards and 4 touchdowns,
yep.
and it was amazing to see, man. But that run at the end that sealed it, it was it was funny because I was watching the game, right? And when they missed that field goal in overtime, I was thinking that they were gonna go to break like for like 30 seconds, like 45 seconds or something like that. So I was
Right.
like, you know what? I think I got enough time to run to the bathroom really quick. I'll run to the bathroom really quick and then I'll come back out and I'll watch the rest of it. So like I run to the bathroom real quick, wash my hands, everything like that, get back, and like I'm seeing us on like the 4 yard line and I'm seeing Derrick Henry get up and I'm
Yeah.
like, yo, what is happening? And they showed the replay and I'm like, oh my goodness, how did I miss that? And Derrick Henry just galloping down the sideline, man. And then just Geno Stone is the last line of defense and just barely gets him, excuse me, by his ankles and brings him down. It was crazy to witness.
Yeah, insane to witness. It was a crazy turn of events, but that's what Derrick Henry does. As the game goes on, you don't want to tackle him. It was 83 degrees out. They were wearing black uniforms, which I don't understand why you were wearing black out of all colors. Like I thought maybe you pull out the orange jerseys, but you gotta imagine those guys. They're exhausted. It's OT. What do you really want to tackle Derrick Henry like when you're that tired? Like, or do you want to end up on his highlight reel or end up like Taylor Rapp who missed this week with a concussion trying to tackle Derrick Henry? And that's what happens when you use him late in the game. That's why we were so applauded by his usage in the fourth quarter and lack of snaps he was getting because it's hard for you to tackle him when you're that tired. Game's going on, and he's feeling good. And just talking about Derrick Henry, have you ever seen him this happy? This,
No, no.
I mean,
I
just
mean, he,
his this emotional, this
yeah,
talkative. I've never seen this
yeah,
from him. You rarely ever saw that. Like when he beat us, when he beat the number one seed in 2019, he wasn't talking shit. It was Tajay Spears making fun of us. It wasn't Derrick Henry. It was like their fifth string receiver instead of him. Like just he looks like he's having fun, and I am happy he's having fun because that just makes us a lot better.
yeah, man. And just for me, it's kind of like the way that he talks about Lamar Jackson too. Like you
Yep.
can tell the camaraderie that he has with this team in this locker room is a lot different than the one that he had in Tennessee. Like I just feel like all of those guys, like they come together and I don't know, they just kind of mesh, right? It feels like a family. It feels like a family in that locker room. And Derrick Henry kind of saying what he said about Lamar Jackson yesterday, like, hey man, like this is the GOAT, stop playing with him, like put some respect on his name, and the things that Lamar Jackson was saying to him on the sideline. I remember I was watching The Wired from the Bills game, episode. And then, Lamar Jackson saying, or Derrick Henry telling Lamar, hey, like, you're great, you're great. And Lamar saying, we're great. Like, no, we're great, and for them to like just continue to build that chemistry and Derrick Henry to kind of build his confidence in this offense, and we find more of like our groove, like fitting him in this scheme. This offense is just going to get more and more deadly. It's going to be very, very, and I don't want to look ahead too much, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they stack up against the Washington Commanders. For the first time in our podcasting career, Alex, you and I doing this show, we are talking about the Washington team as a viable threat in this league, and we've got them coming up next week. And of course, we're going to break down all of that on Thursday's episode. So don't want to look too far ahead, but this offense right now, man, it is looking indefensible in a lot of ways, and
Mhm.
the only issue is really the defense,
Mhm.
and I guess we can kind of shift gears and shift our focus to that. Alex, giving up over 400 yards passing and 5 touchdowns, right? To Joe Burrow yesterday through the air. What are you seeing from our defense? What do you think needs to change? Like, what's the real issue that you're seeing on defense right now?
A lot of missed assignments. I saw John Harbaugh talking about it. They said 4 or 5 plays were just in the wrong coverage. I tell you this, there's a certain player on defense I think that can hold the bench, and that's Eddie Jackson. You are a veteran,
Mm,
you're a former Pro Bowl player, but you're playing piss poor. When I see number 29 on the field, or Darius Washington, I see him making play after play after play. I'm not seeing it from Eddie Jackson at all. Um,
yeah.
I'm not. I'm not saying cut the guy, but you got to take some of the snaps away because it's getting to a point where he's becoming more detrimental than influence on this defense. I know we like to run 3 safeties. It might be time to take him out because on I think it was the deep pass to Jamar, him and Marlon were on the same side of the field. Or no, it's him. Yeah, I think it was him and Marlon. And I don't think Marlon was supposed to get the deep deep zone. I thought it was Eddie Jackson. So that didn't look good. Emily Harrison, I think he didn't blow his block up enough on that screen from Jamar. Everything happens for a reason. I'm happy he scored in the grand scheme of things, but that definitely could have helped us out. And then just Brandon Stevens not looking like himself last year, was getting picked on by T. Higgins and Joe Burrow. A lot of slants they were beating us, a lot of curls. Their timing routes to the receivers were unbelievable. Like they are
Yeah.
just, you know, 10 steps, boom, ball's there. One thing I did like Nate Wiggins. I thought he looked good. Obviously, he's on Jamar Chase. Like he's gonna get catches on him. But he was, broke up a pass against Chase, broke up a pass against Higgins on 2nd and 17. I think in overtime, or no, in the fourth quarter when they could have had a chance to go down there. But I think Zach Gore just kind of maybe simplify it. Let's calm down, and got a big test coming up on the weekend. I want to hear what you have to say, but the defense was hard to watch because I thought every time the Bengals had the ball, they were going to score 7.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I was writing in my notes yesterday as I was watching that game, and with every touchdown that we scored, on offense, I was just thinking to myself, like, this game, excuse me, this game is going to be mathematically impossible to come back in, because every time we score, we're just going to let them score. So they're going to be up one on us, like for the rest of the game, we're just going to lose that way, and that was going to be painful to see. So I'm glad that at the very end, Marlon Humphrey made that play, not letting Jamar Chase cross his face on that slant, stepping in front of it, and getting that pick. That was absolutely huge. And for it to be Marlon Humphrey, Marlowe's not really known to be a guy who gets a lot of picks. Has 2 so far this season, so he's doing really well in that department. But that's not what he's historically been known for. Actually, he's been historically known to drop a lot of those types of passes. So, shout out to him for that. But you bring up Zach Orr, and Zach Orr, I just want to let me take a sip of my water really quick.
You're good. You're good. Uh, Zach Ware, 5th game as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and here's my thing about Zach Orr. It was his first game being a defensive coordinator against a divisional rival. You know, that means something, right? Because up until this point, you're playing against a lot of different teams who aren't as familiar with your scheme. So playing against a divisional opponent, it's a different puzzle, right? It's a different puzzle. And like that's something that early in a defensive coordinator's career is going to be hard for them to figure out. So uh, my thing, you bring it up too. Excuse me, my throat is. I can't even.
It's one of those days. I get it.
Jesus.
I get it.
Yeah, it's one of those days. I can't even talk right now. Like my
You were screaming too
the
much yesterday.
yeah. It
Here it
must
is.
it must be the Bengals pack. I don't know.
Oh,
But look.
wowzers.
Let me shut up though. We got some super chat donations. Let's get to
You're,
those really quick.
you're
KP KP in the house dropping the 2-piece in the chat. What's going on, bro? Appreciate you for dropping the 2-piece here. Says the defense is straight barbecue, man. JD is gonna feast, man. I don't know. Again, I don't want to get too far into it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because we're gonna talk about it on Thursday, but all I'll say is this, man. I mean, this Ravens defense is used to practicing against a mobile quarterback and the best mobile quarterback at that, playmaking quarterback as well. So I don't know. I think that's one of those not for nothing sort of things. We'll see. I think that he will definitely think about Jaden Daniels, man. He can throw it. Like honestly, he kind of reminds me of Steph Curry in a way. Like with his release, it's so
Oh yeah.
quick, right? He can get it
Mhm.
off so quick and so accurately deep down the field, and that is absolutely scary. That's really scary. So I think we're gonna have to get a lot of pressure on him, give him some different looks, some disguises, really like make him second guess himself, and hopefully guys like Calvin Noy and Adafe Owe can run him down and bring him down. But yeah, man, what are your thoughts on that, Alex?
John Harbaugh's track record against rookie quarterbacks is really good. It's given me a lot of confidence. We made CJ Stroud look pretty bad last year. Even in the playoffs, when he's coming off of a great game against the Browns, carved up their defense, which wasn't a bad defense at all. They had a very good defense last year. Don't know what's happened to it this year, but I won't get too much into it. But I'm not gonna sit here and discredit the guy. Like he's unreal. Started at LSU. You've seen the first 5 games. He's making it look easy.
Yeah,
To me, rookie shouldn't be doing what he's doing this quick. Getting thrown
yeah,
in under a defensive head coach at that. And I got to give a lot of credit to Cliff Kingsbury as our OC, who's making it, life easy for him. It's so good on them. We'll talk about it more. I'm not gonna sit here and look over this because it's a big game. It's a freaking huge test. We're playing, not the top 5 team currently in the NFL. Where they look like, I've seen people say it's like them and the Lions who look like the best NFC teams right now, which by record wise, correct. So we're playing damn good team. So we'll get more on that on Thursday, but defense secondary gotta wake up. Gotta freaking wake up.
yeah, absolutely. We got another super chat donation. This one's coming from the Don, dropping the 10-piece in the chat, making it rain here
Thank
on
you.
episode 269 of the Purple Rain podcast. Thank you so much, Don. We appreciate you, brother. It says, so glad I made a live. I'm so busy with my with life. My YouTube is usually done by watching the replays lately, but I'm always watching. Keep grinding, guys. What a game. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Don. We
Don.
appreciate that, man. And you're absolutely
You're
right.
always here with
What a
us.
game. Yeah.
Always here.
You're always here. This is a true Purple Rain pioneer, guys. I mean, this guy has been coming through for a while now, for a
During
long
work, he'll
time.
be
So
watching.
I
Crazy.
know, right?
Crazy.
That's our guy. Don is our dude. Thank you so much, Don. We appreciate your super chat donation there. Making it rain again on episode 269 here of PRP. Okay, talking about the defense a little bit more,
Yeah.
right? I think Zach Orr, he'll get his footing, he'll turn things around, man. Like I said again, facing divisional opponents as a rookie coordinator it's a bit of a different Rubik's cube you got to figure out, and I think that he will kind of later on in the season. We'll see. I think it's November 9th. We play the Bengals again in about 4 weeks in
Thursday night.
Baltimore.
Purple
Thursday night
Rising.
football. Yeah, hopefully we can see a redemption arc for Zach Orr's defense in that game, and of course the games in between then as well. But one name I do want to bring up here from the defense, Nnamdi Madubuike. Nnamdi Madubuike. This is a guy, an unsung hero. If I had to give one unsung hero from yesterday's game, it would be Nnamdi Madubuike. Had a huge sack in overtime on Joe Burrow, man. Just absolutely obliterated the center, gets right by him, and just kind of throws Joe Burrow down. I mean, that guy he's as strong as an ox, man. It's crazy to witness. We've seen him make some crazy plays this season already so far. Of course, he's coming off of the career year that he had last year. That's why he got the bag over the offseason. And he's just proving time and time again, game in and game out, why we gave him that money. And it's not even just the overtime sack. If you look at, and here's where I agree with you when you say that the Ravens outcoached the Bengals a little bit late in this game. The Bengals ran the ball 3 times, right, in our territory to set up a 53-yard field goal or whatever it was, right? Their offense, the passing game had been cooking us all game. Yes, Joe Burrow had just threw the pick on the drive before that, but I mean, he's got 5 touchdowns up to this point, and you're paying him $55 million a year to play quarterback. Put the ball in his hands, and this is
Yep.
me talking from a Bengals fan's perspective, I guess. Put the ball in his hands and tell him to make one throw to put us in a much better, more advantageous field goal position spot. It just did not make any sense to me. But here's the thing: on those 3 run plays, it wasn't a given. The Ravens stopped those 3 runs, but it was
Yep.
Nnamdi Madubuike with the push up front on all of those plays, man. Just absolutely just denying him, just a wall in it himself. You know what I mean? Like, just would not be denied, man. That was incredible to see. We've got a hell of a player on our hands in Nnamdi Madubuike, but what do you have to say about him?
He only has 1.5 sacks. That we knew he wasn't going to put up the sacks he did last year, but it's the pressure he's generating. It's the havoc he's causing. It's the double teams he's getting that's allowing other guys to get their sacks. Guys like Tavius Robinson get their sacks. By the way, he has 2 career sacks, both against the Bengals, both on Joe Burrow. Thank you very much, Tavius. I don't know what you have against them, but keep it coming. And allowing guys like in order to get his 6 sacks he has. Oh, he has 4.5 quietly. By the way, didn't have the best games yesterday, but I'm expecting more as the games go on. It was just very, very nice to see like the interior rush. Like, this is why we paid him that much money. We were lacking that interior rush for years upon years upon years, and now look at it. Like, it's not our front end; it's the back end of the defense that we're talking about. We're getting that push. We're stopping the run. It's hard as hell to run the ball against us. Chase Brown broke off his runs, but as the game went on, it was nowhere to be found. And when the game was on the line, what did you do, Chase Brown? What? You ran for 1 yard in 3 plays? Those guys stopped Travis Jones. Thank you very much. How I saw Broderick Washington on there. Thank you very much. How I saw Brent Urban. Thank you very much. The guys up front, stopping it. Like, that's the reason why we won. Another reason. So, Nnamdi Madubuike, he's worth every penny and then some. Sack. He'll get his sacks, but he stepped up when we needed him the most, and that's what big time players do. And that's what guys with a lot of big contracts do. If we want to talk about guys with big contracts, I'd be happy to talk about Marcus Williams. Obviously struggling. Signed that 5-year, $70 million a couple years ago, and he to me is like the weakest link on our defense right now. Missing tackles, coverages, assignments. To me, he played better last year with a torn pec. So what's happened? I mean, is it what the DC is calling? Is it that, or is it just a regression? I'm not too sure. I have faith they'll turn it around. We're the Ravens defense for a reason, but if this keeps on going on, I will get a little worried. But right now, I want to keep my faith, and hopefully we can turn this around for next week.
Yeah, man. Just defense has to be better. We got a couple people in the chat here. Lisa Ann in the house. What's going on, Lisa? Hope you're doing well. I appreciate you for coming through. Says, how were your nerves yesterday, Alex and Sutton? Man,
Uh,
I was texting Alex during the game,
yeah.
kind of on and off, and I was upset. I know Alex like reading my text, like, bro, I was pretty upset. Just kind of, I think I posted it on our Instagram too, but I was just like, man, like we literally can't come back if the defense can't stop anything. It doesn't matter how good the offense is. If the defense can't stop anything, then we're done. We're cooked. And Marlon Humphrey, for him to come up with that pick in that huge moment, man, like, because I damn near threw my hands up. I chalked it up as a loss. I'm not gonna lie, I chalked it up as a loss because I was like, the defense all season long, I've been saying like at a certain point in the game, the defense is gonna stop doing you favors and the offense is gonna have to bring it home. But the problem was we were down in this game. We didn't have the luxury of protecting a lead, right? So we had to come back. We had to make stops. And once I realized that we weren't getting any stops, I damn near capitulated the whole game, to be honest with you. I was like, you know what? I'm good. We're going to look forward to next week. Washington Commanders, here we come, right? But, man, just a timely play by Marlon Humphrey, that kind of started the real wave of emotions, like the roller coaster of emotions. Because, after that, you had the fumble in overtime. The fact that we forced overtime in general, the fumble in overtime, the missed field goal, the Derrick Henry run, all of that, man. It was just so much. But how were your nerves, though, Alex?
They were gone after I was like, I kind of chalked up and out. I put it out there. I'm like, well, Ravens, you aren't ruining my weekend because my soccer team won. And obviously there's a little bit of like whenever I put that out there, just know I'm upset. I'm upset we're gonna lose. Like, no, my weekend is ruined. It's not like it is ruined, but uh, I think once Jamar took that 70-yard screen, I'm like, all right, this is 2021 all over again. I had visions of seeing Justin Houston and Chuck Clark chasing down Jamar in the bank, and Burrow throws for like 500 against us. We can't stop him no matter what. And I was like, all right, well, whatever happens, happens. And then, we drove down the field, and I'm like, all right, okay. And then once it was like right before Marlon picked it off, I kind of got a little hope back. I don't want to give a shout to K Dog because K Dog called it actually. He said, like, we're going to get a pick here, and it happened. So I'm going to give you the Crystal Ball Award of the week. So thank you very much. But once he got that, I believed again. And then my belief kind of went down when they missed the face mask when Andrews. I'm like, all right, we're getting hoed. Like, Vegas doesn't want us to win. Like, I saw Ravens minus 2.5 was the most bet prop of the week. And I'm like, all right, we're not going to win this because, yeah, Bleacher Report, every week they'll tell you, like, what the public's on, like, the most bet on prop. And that was it, Ravens minus 2.5. I'm all right, cool. We're not going to win this game. Like, everybody can lose their money. But once I saw Justin Tucker lining up, very nervous. I didn't trust him. And why would I not trust the most accurate kicker of all time? The guy who has saved this franchise, saved this team many a times, been our only source of offense. Well, why would I doubt this guy? The GOAT. Evan McPherson, when you want to sit here and act like you're him, when a real gangster walks in the building, that's when you know, and that is Justin Tucker. So it was nice to see that, and then the fumble. I'm like, all right, cool, we're not gonna win. And then McPherson misses it, and then Henry run. Like, I would love to see my heart rate and every other Ravens fan heart rate as that game went on, because that is a typical Ravens experience. That game of the year so far, by the way.
Yeah.
That 1 o'clock window, that and the Jags and the Colts game, by the way, I had red zone on. We missed another classic because I wish that our game was over and we won it comfortably, because that was a great game in Jacksonville. But we had the better one, and I'm glad we came out as winners, because I'll be shown for a while, I think, in this rivalry.
Yeah, that was probably the best Ravens win since that Rams game regular season last year, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of like exciting, like most thrilling, exhilarating games that we ended up winning, yeah, that Rams game kind of stacks up to what happened yesterday. But man, that is an MVP performance from Lamar Jackson, and kind of like what we led this episode with. Can Lamar Jackson win his third MVP this season if he keeps this up, right? If he's on, pace to keep willing his team to victory like he did yesterday in games, I mean, I just don't see how you couldn't give it to him. I just don't see how you could give it to how you couldn't give it to him. No, who would be the other main MVP candidates right now? I mean, we can't really say Joe Burrow because his team's losing, right? I mean, some people would argue Jaden Daniels is climbing the ladder.
Correct. Yep.
Right. Some people also say, why don't you throw Derrick Henry in the mix? He scored a touchdown in literally every single game.
True.
We don't want to call it a quarterback's award by default, so throw Derrick Henry's name in the mix. But who else do you think is really in contention right now for NFL MVP?
The man in the city that can do no wrong right now, number 15 in Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes. Obviously his stats aren't the best, but his team is 5-0. They've beaten us. They can find a way to get it done. That's the only other person I can put up there. Dare I say some Jared Goff shouts? Obviously wouldn't win it, but his team's 4-1? No, 3-1. They had to buy this week.
Yeah.
Obviously far away from it. Yeah, it's just those guys. But honestly, I don't think Lamar cares about MVP right now. He wins the Super Bowl. Baker, obviously, I mean, he was balling out, but that losses he's had, the Broncos loss, is a really bad.
What's going on, God, baby? I haven't seen you in a minute, man. My God, baby.
Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is on like the most Mickey Mouse run. I'm sorry, that 5-0 team. That to me, that's not a 5-0 team. They're giving 2020 Steeler vibes to me. Sorry, I just their defense is balling out. Fantastic defense. I don't think this Darnold run is gonna keep on going on, but yeah. So I'm gonna go Daniels, Lamar, Mahomes. Yeah, it's really like
yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
Josh Allen. 9 for 30 yesterday is
no,
abysmal.
nine
9 for freaking 30.
completions. Nine completions is crazy. Bro, you put the ball in the air 30 times, you completed nine passes for 100 and something yards and a loss. Bro, that was insane. I'm not gonna lie to you. Back to back kind of stinker performances from Josh Allen, kind of taking him down a few notches in the MVP race for sure. I mean, always time to turn it around. It is a long season, like you said a few minutes ago. So we'll see what ends up happening. But how could I have missed this? We got our guy Jason from Huddle It Up
Oh,
Films
what's
in the
going on,
house. What's
Jason?
going on, Jason? Appreciate you for coming through and joining the live stream. We got to get you back on the show soon, man. Says sometime in the fourth quarter, I said this is the most encouraging and depressing game at the same time. Yeah, I just didn't know what to
Yeah,
think, man. I was all over the place. Ah, man.
yeah. Like
Yeah, go ahead.
offense was beautiful. I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
we're freaking cooking right now. Defense, I'm like, bro, we cannot kick these guys off the field. But Marlon Humphrey stepped up when he needed to, read that slant perfectly. You can only run that slant so many times before we read it. And it was on Jamar Chase, who has kind of been his trap card, and he wrote his wrongs from that couple years back, and I'm really happy he got that. So, man, it's on to Washington. We're 3-2. We're on a 3-game winning streak. I think we got our bozo loss out the way in the Raiders because that loss looks worse and worse every week. If
facts.
I mean, as I look from it, like they blew a lead against the Broncos yesterday, and you have Bo Nix and Sean Payne arguing. They lose to the Panthers. Like it's not looking good for them. So yeah, I think that's our bozo loss of the year out the way. Hopefully, we do play the Giants again this year, which to me could be a candidate for another bozo loss. But I think we learned our lesson. I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, we got to put a little extra hurting on the Giants just for
Right.
the only blemish on Lamar's record for, NFC teams.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but again, like you said, on to another NFC team next week, the Washington Commanders coming to town, traveling up the Beltway to face the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Love West says here, no, it's this week, man. I
Yes.
feel like this game might be the most exciting game for the Ravens. Two good teams in the DMV going at it. Are y'all thinking about going to the game? I won't be going to the game. I actually made plans to watch the game with a few buddies of mine. So I'll be doing that, but I will be watching very closely, of course.
I wanted to until I saw the ticket prices, and I'm gonna just be waiting because I'll be at the game against the Broncos, and then probably the Bengals game in that week. So I will not be at this game. 276 was the cheapest ticket I saw, which, with all due respect,
Mhm.
it was like 130 like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I will not be.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna pay the extra money just because of the hype right now. If
yeah,
anything, I'd rather go to FedEx Field because their cheapest ticket yesterday for the game against the Browns was like $30. So if
yeah.
like the Ravens are out of town and not playing at 1 o'clock, I could just go to a Commanders game and see them for a lot less money. But no, thank you. No, thank you.
Y- Yeah, I mean, like that extra $150 almost that you'd be paying for, the ticket prices today as opposed to a couple of weeks ago is
Right.
literally just the Jaden Daniels tax. And I'd be damned. I will
Yep.
be damned if I
Yep.
pay extra money just for another quarterback's juice coming into Baltimore. Hell no. Hell no.
Yeah.
I'll watch it at home. 1 p.m. CBS. But listen, Alex, I heard a lot of talk about this game. I think they were kind of trying to campaign for it to get flexed to
Hmm.
the later
Hmm.
window or something like that. But I
Yeah.
think somebody who shut it down. I think CBS shut it down or
CBS protected
some.
it.
Oh,
Yep.
they protected it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, what did you think about that? I mean, me personally, I would prefer it to stay 1 p.m. CBS. I think
Yeah.
that's a beautiful window for the Ravens to play football, to watch Ravens football. But what did you think?
I'll be honest. I don't think the Commanders want to see a Sunday night game at the bank. Like the way we get, I mean, you saw that Bills game. You saw how it gets at the bank, what they do. Um, it's just a great experience for the fans. I mean, 1 o'clock it's going to be great. It's going to be Romo and Nance. I'm pretty sure Tracy Wolf's on the sideline. I understand why because it's going to be Bengals Giants at night, Sunday night. So like that's really not the best games. Although the Giants came off of a good win in Seattle. I'm happy it's 1 o'clock, so I don't have to stay up and ruin my sleep schedule that I finally fixed after a while. But yeah, I'll be enjoying this 1 o'clock. Hey, 1 o'clock CBS Managers. It's a thing. 3-4 catches yesterday, 50 yards, some big catches. It's a thing.
Yeah, it's still weird with Mark Andrews for me. Just for him to
Yeah.
go from being such a huge, just focal point of this offense, right? And kind of like the main target that defenses had to prepare for, to really being kind of like a non-factor in the
Yeah.
pass catching. And yeah, he had a couple of catches yesterday, but it just still does not look like the Mark Andrews of old. And I know he's doing a lot of other really good things, like he's blocking his ass off and doing all the things there in that department, and that's beautiful. But I, I think that we should be trying to get a little bit more return on investment out of Mark Andrews. And if it's just not there anymore, and Lamar Jackson's kind of moved on in terms of like his favorite targets, then hey man, I think it's about time to go ahead and deal him, to be honest.
Yeah, I want to say one more thing. It feels like he's being phased out.
Yeah.
Just to me, like there's been times when like I don't think there's Charlie Clark should be on the field, and he is, and this is no disrespect to him. And Mark Andrews is on the field. I'm like, for blocking, I get it, but it just feels like they're making a reason to cut him or get rid of him, not re-sign him. And that's just me. I could be completely wrong, but it just feels like we're trying to phase him out.
Bro, they
I'm
ran
happy he
they
can be
ran
on
the
the
tush
ball.
push with Charlie Collar.
Yeah, and maybe it's because Andrews got the knee or the ankle last year and the car accident.
Fair.
Maybe he's not fully 100%. But when he threw that pass
Yeah.
in the second half, the over the shoulder, pardon my language, I'll be fucking damned if that didn't look like a prime Mark Andrews. The way he caught it, the way he fought off contact, I will be damned that did not look like 2019, 2020, 2021 Mark Andrews. So I want to see more of him
I
when
gotta
he's
go
open.
back and watch that. Yeah.
He looked very good, looked very freaking good, and he's just a Raven. And I don't want to talk too much about him, but like when we were going through shit in 2021 with no Lamar, he was making shit happen with Huntley. He was the best tight end that year with a backup quarterback.
Yeah.
I will never forget him for that. I just want to see more of Mark. I want to see him win a ring with us because outside of Lamar, he deserves it the second most. I think he's up there. Him and Stanley too. Ronnie Stanley's been playing at an All-Pro level. I will not forget his performances this year. You have been unreal, Mr. Stanley. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Ronnie Stanley. I mean, the offensive line in general, I was pretty pleased with, the second kind of showing of their performance yesterday as a group, as a unit, right? Not too many notes. Of course, there could always be better, and I think that letting not Roger Rosengarten, but Andrew Voorhees rest for another week is really good, and keeping Makari in there. Um, there was a game-saving tackle that I don't think should go unnoticed by Roger Rosengarten that I think was very, very important, because that Lamar Jackson fumble in overtime, that could have been a scoop and score had Roger Rosengarten not been right there to take the guy down when he did. So I don't want to let that go underneath the radar. Roger Rosengarten, salute to you, hats off to you, man, because that could have easily, we could have been singing a very different tune right now had it not been for that tackle. So yeah, yeah. Okay, so
Should we talk
Alex,
some
anything else
boss?
you had from the game?
I thought Josh Jones looked all right when he came in, backup tackle.
Okay.
I know Ronnie Stanley was throwing up. The drive when Lamar made the crazy play, he said he got hit in the stomach. He couldn't stop vomiting. He came in for Rosengarten, so it's nice having a guy who can play left and right tackle as well.
I didn't know that.
I thought Roquan Smith looked better yesterday. Obviously not to his elite level, but I thought he was playing a little bit better.
Yeah, he's waking up a
he'll
little
get
bit. You can
fixed up.
tell.
Yeah, I think he looks a little overweight out there. He doesn't look as lean as he did last year, but I'm sure we'll get that right. That's really all I got. All I got for that game. Shout out to the long snapper, holder, kicker. Underrated.
One more thing.
Thank you.
One more thing.
Thank you.
How many times are we gonna put Brandon Stevens on the top guy? Because I think it's kind of proven that, like, some of these top receivers, they can consistently get over on Brandon Stevens, as my lights go out.
Keon
But
Coleman last week.
right, exactly. Keon Coleman, of course, Tay Adams is gonna Tay Adam. And then yesterday you had Higgins and Chase just kind of doing whatever they wanted. And that is kind of like the way, I guess, you attack this Ravens defense, is just go to the outsides, right? Like, just throw the ball to the outside and let those guys win one-on-one on the outside. And our corners have not proven to be able to stop that. So I don't know exactly what needs to happen there. I like the adjustment of putting Marlon Humphrey on him later in the game. Of course, he was in the slot. He comes over across the middle for that would-be slant. Marlon Humphrey read it beautifully, stepped in the lane, like I said, didn't let Jamar Chase cross his face. Kind of a lack of effort, a little bit there from Jamar Chase. Like you don't just let that get picked. Like
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the very least, you have to get a hand in there and break that pass up because you know that was the one thing you just could not do if you were the Bengals in that situation. You just could not turn the ball over and give this defense a big play, something that they had been starving for literally the entire second half. And you give that to them down the stretch very, very late in the game, kind of breathing life back into their chances of winning. And that's exactly what happened, man, because the offense picked right where they left off. They picked up right where they left off, and they scored. So it's just overall, a good victory from the Ravens. I do think that this defense has to go back to the drawing board with Zach Orr.
Yeah.
Those alignment issues, absolutely atrocious. Right,
Yeah.
there were a couple plays. I think it was the first touchdown that I think it went to T Higgins. The first touchdown that Joe Burrow threw. I think they lined up in trips coverage, not trips, in trips formation, right? So they had three receivers out to the left, and we only had two guys over there covering them. And we had Roquan Smith kind of leaking over to get the third guy. Roquan Smith's not nearly fast
Yeah.
enough, so he doesn't get there. And it's just an easy walk-in touchdown. And you can even see before the snap, before the play, Marlon Humphrey and other guys in the DB room who were back there, they were visibly confused, trying to figure out, okay, who's guarding who, and that just cannot happen, man. It just led to easy points. Joe Burrow had multiple, I think two of his touchdowns yesterday, two or maybe even three of his touchdowns yesterday were just off of like some terrible coverages. You know what I mean? Like just easy in the red zone. Okay, you're gonna give me that. Boom, touchdown.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
like taking candy from a baby. So Zach Orr's got to do something to fix that.
Yeah. They were butt naked wide open. So I mean that's all I
Yeah,
got for the game. Would
yeah,
love to talk about some other games real quick before we get out of your
sure.
way. I'll start with the Thursday night game because we finally had a fantastic Thursday night football game. I watched the first half of it. Um, Baker Mayfield and the Bucks, their offense looked amazing, but then Falcons, man, Kirko was doing his thing. Drake London, what a game! I hope that's his breakout game. We've been hearing about him for so long. Put up some
Got a
great
little banged
numbers.
up.
Yeah, yeah, they get banged up in the first quarter, but I think we'll put up 11, 12 catches. That was good to see. And then Kadero Hodge, walk it off, why don't you? That was a great game. Great game.
Yeah. Definitely was an amazing game. I was surprised to see Kirk Cousins just play that well, man. And you kind of forget, and I kind of like the big thing against Kirk Cousins was that he did not play good underneath the lights. That was a narrative that
Yeah,
he kind of killed on that game Thursday night. So shout out to Kirk O'Bangs there. Other games that I was kind of interested in from yesterday. Of course, the Commanders game, they just walked all over the Cleveland Browns, and the Cleveland Browns look
yeah,
absolutely just lost, like deer in headlights
yeah,
right now. Not even quite like the Bengals. I think if I had to assess who would have more confidence in their team right now, Cincinnati or Cleveland, it's by far Cincinnati. Like right now, the Cleveland Browns, they don't look like they have just any juice, any spark right now. Deshaun Watson is looking like the worst contract in the history of the National Football League, quite literally.
yeah,
So, just did not like what I saw from them. Um, other games, another game that I saw, and I want to get your take on this one. The Texans and the Bills, and we kind of touched on it a few minutes ago,
yeah,
but
yeah,
CJ Stroud in that one, man, that I think that was his welcome to his official welcome to the gauntlet of AFC quarterbacks, right? So like
yeah,
you beat a Josh Allen, you go toe to toe. I mean, outduel him in every sense, right? He was making throws all over the place. Uh, really love what I saw from CJ Stroud yesterday. What did you take from that game?
yeah. Touching back on the whole Bengals Browns thing, the Bengals are 2 plays away from being 3-2. So like that's things
Facts.
I'm looking at the Chiefs game and the Ravens game. Now going to the Bills game, Josh Allen had a concussion. I know why he went back in there for the game. That you just put his health in harm's way. You saw the video of them
Yeah,
giving him smelling salts. He was out for one play. His head at a just crazy force hit the ground like that. I mean, it was very obviously a concussion. Played like it too, I'll tell you that. But I'm a little happy for Stephon Diggs. I'm a Stephon Diggs fan. I'm happy he did beat his former team. And then the loss of Nico Collins, though, when Nico Collins went out, that offense really struggled. He is he is just a phenomenal
Major
receiver.
piece,
He's week
yeah.
to week with a hamstring high word. But yeah, that like you said, that was a welcome to the NFL or welcome to the AFC moment because they were up comfortably, but the Bills just clawing back, and to me, I think they gave the game away because they are in their own 5-10 yard line, and you throw the ball 3 times, and you give the Texans fantastic field position in order to win the game. If I'm Sean McDermott, I'm looking at myself like I lost that game. Like, and their teamwork coaching lost them that game. They got way too aggressive. They should, you have James Cook who's had a really good year. You have a running back who's very good. You have Josh Allen. Like, do something on the ground, and you just are throwing it, giving them great field position. They're very ugly for them. I do want to touch on the London game. Aaron Rodgers, um, leave the football before the football leaves you. I'll tell you that right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't. It is so happy for me to say that because he is very arrogant. Just yeah, I'm not a big Aaron Rodgers guy anymore. Very full of himself, and yeah, leave the football for the football leaves you because it's not looking good. Um, you got Garrett Wilson. You're talking about Devontae Adams. Tay Adams is not helping that offense. Their line is not good. They're talking about getting guys from us. That line is still very, very bad.
Yeah, yeah. And Rodgers left that game with an ankle sprain. I hear it's a low level ankle sprain, so there is some optimism that he will be able to play. I think they play the Bills next week on prime time. So
Yeah.
we'll kind of watch and monitor that one. But I think he threw like what 3 picks yesterday in yesterday's
Yep.
morning game in London. It
Yep.
was definitely wild to see at one point in Aaron Rodgers' career. I mean, if he threw one interception, like it was so rare. It was so rare to see Aaron Rodgers throw interceptions, right? And I think you make a valid point. I mean, like leave the football before the football leaves you because he just does not look like the same player. Now, of course, he can still make every throw in the
Yep.
book, right? Like we've seen him make those throws, and we've seen him make those throws look really good too. I think the talent is still there, but right now I just don't think that it's enough to compensate for the supporting cast that he has around him. You can see him trying to force feed Garrett Wilson in a lot of ways, kind of similar to the way that the Giants and Daniel Jones try to force feed Malik Neighbors in that game a little while ago. It's just,
Yeah.
that can't be your only solution, right? Brees Hall, Braylon Allen, those guys got to step up. There's got to be more
Yeah.
help. There's got to be more help from them. It's just not a whole lot going on with the Jets right now. So that was an interesting game. What other games were interesting from yesterday? Oh, our boy Joe
Jags
Flacco.
Colts.
Yeah.
Joseph Vincent. He did everything to win that game, running the ball, throwing the ball. Freaking Joseph Vincent Flacco. I almost put out the purple camo pants for him yesterday. I'll tell you that right now. Almost had to.
Man, I mean, Joe Flacco, he's just in that point of his career, like he's got it all in front of him. You know what I mean? Like he's already got the ring. He's got all the experiences. He can read the defense. He can read a defense. He can go into any system pretty much and like, okay, who's my number one receiver? Who's my number two guy? Cool. I'm gonna target these guys. They're gonna get open. I'm gonna put the ball right where they need it. He's playing with house money. You know what I mean? There's no pressure on him. Nobody's expecting him to go out and win a Super Bowl. They're not even expecting him to make the playoffs, right? So every week he's just going out there and literally just having fun with it. And you can tell. The guy went for I think a 24-yard scramble yesterday, and like it just kind of reminded you that you just kind of
Uh,
saw shades of old Joe Flacco kind of running with those same
Joe
strides,
Flacco.
man. He still has the same the running form. It was so nostalgic to look at, to be honest with you. But yeah, shout out to Joe Flacco. Came up just short in that game. Ended up taking a sack to close the game out by Trayvon Walker there. But
Classic.
yeah, I know, right?
Classic Joe. Um,
Yeah.
Two more guys we'll talk about if you have any others. The Cardinals shocking the Niners. These
Yep.
Niners are 2-3. Christian McCaffrey, what's going on? We're gonna see you soon, I think. But is he really that healthy? Not too sure.
No.
Purdy getting hit trying to find George Kittle. They pick it off. Ball game. Um, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I mean, I think with the 49ers, like that's going to be a team where they're going to peak later in the season. I think that like
Yeah,
we're worried about them right now. They're what 2-3, I want to say, and like they're just overall been in some bad spots and just lost some tough games. But I think going into like November and early December, we'll start to see them kind of stack some games. McCaffrey will probably be back. We'll have to see if he can get back to full strength. I don't think that he is even 75% healthy right now. I think that they're just trying to get him back desperately because they know that they need him to make this offense go. But I think that they'll be okay later on in the season. But yeah, I mean, a bounce back win for the Cardinals, who got rolled by
yeah,
the
yeah.
Washington Commanders last week. Yeah,
That NFC West is very weird. It's the guy baby says Niners fake this year. The whole division looks fake. The Seahawks, beat the Broncos and Bo Nix first start, beat the Jacoby Brissett led New England Patriots, beat the Tua less Dolphins, and then you go and lose to the Lions, which it's not a
yeah,
bad loss, and then you go to lose to the Giants at home, which is a bad loss, and the way they lost it, not good. Mike McDonald, I'm rooting for you, still rooting for you, but the NFC West looks very weird. Final game I want to talk about last night, delayed. How about them boys? How about them Cowboys, man?
yeah,
Beating
yeah,
the freaking Steelers. I wasn't expecting that. I fully expected the Steelers to win that game. I saw TJ Watt get his 100th career sack, forcing the fumble. I'm like, yeah, this is one of those games. It's going to be ugly games. It's going to be like Steelers like 13-9. It's going to be Mike Tomlin voodoo. But no, it was Dak Prescott voodoo. 4th and goal. Jalen Tolbert called game.
yeah, yeah. Beautiful to see. When every other team in the division loses, but the Ravens win. Steelers lose, Bengals lose, Browns lose, Ravens a victory. So that's like the sweetest of all victory Mondays, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
One thing I did take away from that game, George Pickens, man, his body language does not look good with the Steelers right now. And I don't know what's going to come out of that, but there might be some heads button between Mike Tomlin and him pretty soon. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, he was not showing any effort out there on one of the plays. Yeah, he was never gonna get the ball, but he was just walking. It just like
Yeah,
in the NFL, you cannot be doing that. You can't. Um, Obviously, there were these problems coming out of college, character problems. Punching guys on the sideline. But this right here, like your team, you're not a bad team by any means. So I still think they might squeak into the playoffs because that's how good of a coach team they're, and that's how good I think their defense is. But you can't be giving up on a team in the 5th game when you're still in the game. That was just a very bad look, and I hope he turns it around because he's a freaking talented player. So
yeah, yeah,
Tomlin will get him right, but he definitely let him have it in the presser.
yeah. But back-to-back losses for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We love to see it. Okay.
Ah,
I Let me see what
Boz,
Bob's saying here.
Deontay
Deontay
Johnson.
Johnson got traded for the same thing. It's Tomlin allowing the behavior. Hmm. Okay. All right. I
Chase
mean, it's,
Claypool's out there. I mean, if you want him, he's out there.
Boz, I know it's a painful Monday, Boz. I know it's a painful Monday. I can only imagine the pain that you must feel after, or that you must have felt last night after watching that game get delayed, right? A Sunday night game where your team is playing get delayed, right? So it's a late start. You know you're going to be up even later, and then to lose, man, Boz, I feel for you on that one, bro. I
You
do.
know,
I really do.
we went through the same thing. We can sympathize because it happened week 1. Our game got delayed. We stayed up. We
Yeah,
saw us lose by a toe, a freaking toe. So
yeah,
we can sympathize. We're both 3-2. The AFC North is back how it is. Ravens Steelers at the top, Browns and Bengals at the bottom. This is how it was during the Joe Flacco Ben years. Now it's back to how it should be. So we got that to look forward to. We're the powerhouses of the North.
all is right. All is right. Okay. Before we get out of here, do you want to bring this last little tidbit up? We just had UFC 307, I want to say it was, this past weekend.
Yes.
A
Yes.
couple good fights on the card. The main event I thought was a really, really good fight. Up until it wasn't at the very end. Alex Pereira obviously getting the knockout over Khalil Roundtree, which, a lot of us predicted AP by KO. That was just gonna happen. I want to say it was in round 4. Did you watch the fight?
I actually was a sore loser. I caught it after I woke up the next day. Um, I didn't watch it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Dre says Khalil Roundtree is a warrior. That is absolutely
yeah,
right, man. I mean,
yeah.
the guy gave it all he had, man. And he hurt Alex like just a little bit in I think the first or second round. He hit him with like a left hook or something like that, and Alex kind of dropped just a little bit when he got back up. But I mean, once Alex kind of figured him out and Khalil Roundtree kind of ran out of gas, he tired out a little bit. Alex was able to walk him down, keep kicking his leg, immobilize him that way, and that's what he does to everybody, man. He kicks your leg until you can't really move around that well, and then he just jabs your face off. And if you look at Khalil Rountree's face after that fight, you can tell he got his face
Oh,
jabbed off, man. It
oh,
was just absolutely brutal, man. And Alex Pereira, he adds another victory
insane.
to his win streak, man. I mean, this guy, I think he's got 3 wins this year alone. Absolutely crazy, man. It's just I can't say enough how important he is to the UFC right now. If
Correct.
the UFC did not have Alex Pereira, I don't know where they would be because they
Yeah.
just don't really have the star power coming from anywhere that's really going to put them at the forefront of people's minds on Saturday nights when they're running one of their pay-per-views. So yeah, I just think that that was a really good fight. But Alex Pereira up next, he's gonna have to go against Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev, sorry, he is probably the best grappler in the division, so that'll be interesting to see how Alex handles that. But yeah, great fight.
Yeah. I saw the picture afterwards. I woke up and like, all right, I gotta rewatch this. And boy, that was a good one. Much respect to Roundtree. That was, I mean, the fact he's able to last when you're looking like that, and I just can't imagine how. I saw the one slow mo of him getting hit right in the face. You see the blood just like
Yeah,
splatter everywhere. I'm like, I felt that pain.
that guy hits hard, man. He hits
Yeah,
really, really hard.
I don't want to.
Yeah,
Getting in that ring is like, again, I'm the octagon. I'm sorry. It's just where your headspace has to be. I can't imagine it's in that kill mode, and you step in there, it's
bro.
anything goes at that point, and
You are
it's
walking
unbelievable.
into a an octagon where they lock the door behind you. You are in your underwear with no shirt on, underneath bright lights with thousands of people watching you in the room, and millions of people are watching at home. That has got to be the most nerve-wracking as you're looking across this octagon to another guy who wants to take your head off, right? And he's going to try to do that like his life depends on it. Because these guys don't get paid a boatload of money.
No,
They really
no,
don't, you know? It's not like they're making NFL player money where like, they're millionaires. A lot of them aren't. They are not.
no, no.
So they are fighting for pride. They're fighting for a lot more than just money, you know. So it's a scary thing. So hats off to anybody who steps into that octagon, but definitely hats off to Khalil Roundtree for, taking that fight against Alex Pereira and then lasting into the championship rounds because a lot of people
Yeah,
could not do that. There's a lot of
first
fighters who
round.
are higher ranked, yeah, who would lose in the first round.
I didn't like Jamal Hill yawning. I did not like that at all. I thought that was classless. You know?
Jamal, yeah, he's a little sore from losing at UFC 300, right? Getting
Yeah.
knocked out the way that he did. He's made all sorts of excuses for it in the book, and he wants that rematch versus Alex Pereira. And you know, I would like to see that rematch sometime down the line, but I think that he needs to get at least another big W before he can go against Alex Pereira again because just everything he's doing right now, I just don't think that he's next in line for AP. AP is he's gonna fight Ankalaev, and then after that, I think that he should probably either go back down to middleweight and maybe fight Dreykus, even though I know he probably doesn't want to do that, or he can go up to heavyweight and fight
Mm,
who's ever the champ at that time. And who knows
mm,
if it'll be John Jones? Who knows if it'll be Stipe Miocic, Tom Aspinall? Who knows who's it's going to be? But I think that that would be a very compelling storyline. So yeah, but Jamal Hill, yeah, definitely. There was a lot of nervous energy. I tweeted it myself. Like there was nervous energy. Him trying to yawn. It looked even
yeah.
awkward with him doing it. It's just like, bro, you got slept, like legitimately slept by this dude. Like you really have no room to talk shit right now. You just don't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and I want to give a big shout out to Kevin Holland's ribs. Thank you very much. Ruined my night. Ruined my freaking night. Saw that happen. Like, oh,
Yeah.
only positive I got was he didn't get knocked out with a broken rib when he was on the ground. So I was like, you know what? Respect to that. He was taking that shit. So hopefully he comes back strong.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. Yep. What's going on? Lunch break hot take. What's going on, fellas? Appreciate
Going
y'all for
on.
coming through. Yeah. So all right, I think we're gonna go ahead and end it there for this episode of the Purple Rain podcast, episode 269. We've covered a lot on this episode, a buck 20 tonight.
Long one.
So if you're just getting in here, make sure you go ahead and rewind, right? Take that little playhead and rewind because we talked about everything having to do with this OT thriller win versus the Cincinnati Bengals. We talked about could Lamar Jackson win his third MVP, all sorts of stuff we covered in this episode. So make sure you watch it back. If you're part of the hashtag replay gang and you're already watching this after the fact, thank you so much for coming through. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, because we got a lot more Ravens content like this coming your way throughout this season. And it's only going to get better. It's only going to get better and better. So make sure you stay tuned into the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel. Again, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast, like you see down below. You can follow me on X or Instagram at Sutton Def. You can follow this guy on X at SimplyAS10 and on Instagram at simplyas10.prod. And then last but not least, like he led the episode with, Manscaped, who is indeed our sponsor, right? If you want to look nice and clean cut like Alex and myself, go on manscaped.com, shop any of their amazing products. They're coming out with something new, seems like every month, right? Stack your cart up to the ceiling. Put in our code at the very end at checkout, PRP, right? For Purple Rain Podcast, PRP. You're going to save 20% off. Plus, you get free international shipping on all sorts of products again, like the Scout Buffer. We love that ourselves. The 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. They've got the Lawnmower 5.0. They've got the Beard Hedger. They've got this. They've got that. Ball deodorant, ball toner. It's amazing. All the things that they offer for the fellas out there. So if you're one of the fellas, go ahead and use the code. If you are a lady, maybe get it for one of the fellas in your life. Again, code PRP. Save yourself 20% off plus free international shipping. And with that being said, I'm gonna let my guy Alex take us out.
Thank you for coming through episode 269 of the Purple Rain Podcast. Love you. Appreciate you. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. It's been episode 269 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next